Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about textures and finishes, from the fabrics to the finishes. The material we choose affect the overall look and durability of the design. Textures and finishes are what make an interior pop, show off its style, and create sensory experiences. The right mix of materials can make a space look more complex, add a cozy feel, or on the other hand, highlight minimalism and strict geometry. That difference between texture and texture and how we look at it has to do with what they mean and how they affect people. Texture is how something feels when you touch it. It's what makes an object feel rough or smooth, prickly or soft to the touch. Texture can be perceived not only visually but also physically, when the viewer can imagine how the surface will feel when it's touched. Texture is basically the pattern or design on the surface or of an object. It's got wood grain, stripes, speckles, and other details that make it visually interesting and complex. Texture is how we see the look of a surface, and it's not always related to how it feels. So, texture is all about the visual effects, while texture is more about the tactile experience. Let's take a look, for example, at ceramic tiles. The pattern on its surface is texture. The type of surface, material, glossy, rough, or imitating natural stone, is the texture. Here are the basics of using texture to fill an interior. 1. There is a big difference between smooth and rough surfaces. The best interiors are always built on contrast. Smooth, polished materials like glass, metal, and glossy buildings create a feeling of cleanliness and simplicity. Rough, textured surfaces like linen, wood, and plaster, they add warmth and naturalness. The combination of these elements makes the space visually interesting and balanced. For example, in a modern kitchen with smooth walls, a textured brick or wood wall is added to create depth. Using natural materials is always a good idea. They add value to any space and make it feel nice to touch. Wood is warm, living texture that can be rough or smooth depending on how it's processed. Stone is a bold, cold, but always pricey element in a room. Linen, cotton, and wool are all soft and comfy. Leather makes a statement, especially in furniture and accessories. For example, if you got plain walls, natural linen textiles, and wooden furniture in your bedroom, you'll have a nice, relaxing space. How light and shadow play on different textures. How the look of a texture changes with the lighting. Matte and rough surfaces absorb light, creating intimacy and comfort. Glossy and reflective surfaces, on the other hand, add dynamics and some feeling of airiness. Embossed materials like decorative plaster carvings and 3D panels create a beautiful play of shadows when lit from the side. For example, an accent wall with decorative plaster or embossed panels can really make a statement in a room, especially when you add in some spotlighting. Now let's talk about layered textures. An interior becomes more complex and multifaceted when it features layered textures. In textiles, it's a mix of coarse linen with soft velour or wool. Here's some of the finishes we've got: matte walls, glossy decorative elements, and wooden inserts. In furniture, you'll find a mix of metal, glass, and wood. Example: a soft velvet sofa, linen pillows, and a chunky knit blanket can make an interior look layered and rich in texture. A mix of texture creates a range of feelings. Warm and soft materials like velvet, wood, wool are linked to comfort and relaxation. It's when cold and hard, made of glass, metal, or stone, and it's modern and minimalist. Rough and natural materials like linen, rattan, and untreated wood are often linked to natural aesthetics. For example, in a modern, minimalist interior, the combination of smooth marble and warm wood will create a balance of comfort and elegance. Textures in interior design, making a space feel and look great. When you just walk into the room, the first thing you notice along with the light and color is the texture of the surfaces. Is the table surface smooth? Do the curtains rustle under your fingers? Is the carpet soft underfoot? Texture is what makes a space feel real. It takes a visual image and gives it life. Texture tells the story of a history. Every texture has a story to tell. Cold marble speaks of eternity and grandeur, soft velvet of luxury. Natural wood with its annual rings speaks of time, life, warmth. Cracked plaster on a wall reminds us of past eras and the indelible traces of time. We perceive space not only with our eyes, but also with our skin. Remember how nice it is to run your hand over the silk fabric, or how interesting it is to feel the roughness of concrete with your fingers. Now, picture a sofa that feels like an icy Arctic blast in winter and a sauna in the summer. That's the difference between thoughtful tactility and just good enough. Smoothness versus roughness. There are two types of texture, smooth and rough. Smooth surfaces are light, reflected, and perfect. They create a modern, clean, and orderly feeling. Glass, polished metal, lacquered wood, they seem to go on forever, reflecting the world around them and playing with it. Rough surfaces, on the other hand, really catch the eye. They're so captivating that you can't help but look closely at the patterns and feel them with your fingers. Coarse linen, aged brick, and the fluffy carpet all say a lot about life, craftsmanship, and warmth. But of course, roughness can also come in different forms. There's a difference between a cozy blanket that you want to hug and decorative plaster that leaves scratches when you lean on it. Balance is key in everything, my friends. The play of contrast, the real magic starts when smooth meets rough. Picture with a glossy table next to a chair with soft velvet upholstery, or maybe a cold marble floor with a soft wool rug. Contrasts work not only visually but also tactily, creating a balance between coziness and austere, elegant and lively. Contrast can also be unexpected. For example, why put a faux fur pillow on a sofa that generates static electricity and shocks anyone who sits on it? Or a rug with a rough texture that feels like cactus when you step on it barefoot. It's not just about style, but also about thinking the end user. Naturalness and artificiality. These days, technology lets us create any texture. Laminate can easily pass for oak parquet, and plastic panels can imitate brickwood. It's sometimes convenient, but a space with a lot of fakes can lose its vibe. A real concrete, real wood, real linen, they're beautifully. They retain the warmth of your hands. They leave. Artificial materials can be great too, but don't forget that texture is about more than just how something looks. It's also about how it feels. And if your marble table starts to bubble from a hot cup, then it's not really marble. This is all now about the light and texture. You can't talk about textures without mentioning light. Lighting can make a big difference in how something looks. Diffuse light makes rough surfaces look more inviting. On the other hand, hard directional light emphasizes their relief, highlights their depth, and makes them sharp and dramatic. Glossy surfaces love reflections. They catch glare, turning the interior into a play of light. Matte and texture surfaces, on the other hand, they absorb light, creating depth, richness, and warmth. If you got glossy tiles in your bathroom, don't be alarmed when you turn on the overhead light and you all lit up. It'll be so bright you won't be able to tell where you are or where your doppelganger from the parallel universe is. Texture is key to creating a unique character. A room without texture just isn't an interesting one. It may be beautiful, but it's not alive. It's the tactile element that makes a space feel real, add depth, and give it a distinct character. When picking textures, think with your hands as well as your eyes. Run your fingers over the fabric, feel the surface of the wall, lean against the wooden armrest of the chair. After all, an interior is not a picture. It's a space where we live, move, and feel. If design is art, then texture is like music that you can feel with your fingertips. Just make sure it's a nice melody, not the sound of nails on a slate board. And a conclusion, textures are not just details, but a powerful tool for creating mood and depth in an interior. A skillful combination of smooth and rough, warm and cold, matte and shiny makes a space lovely, tactilely pleasant and visually rich. Textures create depth and character while decor enlivens the space. It works like the final touch in a painting, a detail without which the entire composition seems incomplete. Decor is not just decoration. These are things with history, with memory, with soul. They reflect your habits, memories, small joys. In the next model, we will talk about decor and interior, how objects and details turn a beautiful space into your home. For the homework, walk around your home and choose 3 decorative items that are especially important to you. It can be a painting, a vase, a photograph, a figurine, or any other detail. Note their texture, smooth, rough, shiny, soft, whatever else. Think about the feeling each item evokes, joy, comfort, inspiration. Imagine how the mood of the room would change if you remove this item or replace it with another.
Представьте, как изменилось бы настроение комнаты, если убрать этот предмет или заменить его на другой.